Hey everybody, my name is Lucas and we are going to be putting two Fishman Fluence pickups to the test today. We are testing out the Tosin Abasi signature Fluence pickups versus the Keith Merrow signature Fluence pickups. We're going to put them through a litany of tests. You're going to hear them on my Axe Effects, you're going to hear them on my Revv 100R Mark III, and at the end we'll talk about exactly what we found. Alright, let's get it. A few housekeeping notes, because I know a few of you guys are going to be curious about this. Every single thing in this battle was exactly the same when it comes to signal chain, except two very small minor things that happened. When I was swapping the pickups from the Merrows to the Abasis, my low E string decided to snap off randomly. Didn't get any notice about that. It snapped off at the tuner, and the same thing happened to my D string. It shredded itself right at the tuner. I think it may have been a combination of the strings being a little older. I say older. They don't have that much use, but they have been on my guitar a while. Plus the fact that I might have had my locking tuners tightened a little bit too much. So what I did was I replaced them with the same exact set that was on here, some Elixir strings, the same exact set that was on here thickness-wise. I replaced it, and then I recorded the demo for the Tosins, everything that you heard. So everything was kept exactly the same except the strings that broke, which I was not going to really do about that. A little side note about when I put the Tosins in. If you're going to go to Tosins and you have a direct mount setup, kind of like how my Black Cat Pharaoh is right here. That's what all the demo was done on, was my Black Cat 7-string Pharaoh. These have standoffs. They're direct mount, but they have standoffs at the bottom of the pickup cavity. They have enough space to fit the Tosins, but I had to do a little bit of modifying to them, and it was kind of scary, but I really didn't have any choice. On most Fishman pickups, or I know on the moderns that do this and a couple of other ones, they have these little tabs on the underneath of the pickup where the ears are, where the screws go through. They have these tabs that you can remove to do direct mount. The Tosins don't have that at all. They're primarily made to, from what I'm guessing, they're primarily made to be in a pickup ring type of situation. So what I had to do was I had to take a 3/32. That's what it said on my drill bits. I hate the English system. I much rather metric when it comes to stuff like that. Anyway, I had to take a 3/32 drill bit and I put it in the ear. And make sure, whenever you're doing this, make sure you hold the ear when you're doing it, because the bit could catch something and it could break the ear off, which there's no coming back from that. That's very scary. I just held it, I went slow, it widened it enough, and I was able to use the screws that were already mounting my Merrows in here. I just used those to mount the Tosins, as you see there in here right now. That was easy peasy. I already had Fishmans wired in here. As you know, I had the Merrows were wired in here before I got the Tosins, and all the wiring scheme that was in here worked absolutely perfect. Fishmans, it's pretty much all the same thing. You have a little quick slide-on tabs, the little block tabs. That it's the same thing that EMG uses, so you can technically use EMGs in here, or vice versa, since it's all the same little tab. Now you won't get access to the different voices that the Fishmans have, but you only get voice 1 if you use Fishmans in an EMG slot. But it all works the same, so it was very easy. I also had to custom order these Tosins, because since they're black chrome but they're in the passive housing, I had to order them from Sweetwater specifically. I had to special order them, and when you special order stuff, you can't return it. So I special ordered something that I couldn't return, and then I had to widen the mounting holes a little bit for direct mount. But now that is all out of the way, sorry for that. I just wanted to make sure I covered those details. One more thing that I need to cover is guitar tone wise. You heard them in a mix and you heard them outside of the mix. So what I did was, when the guitar is in the mix, what I did was, so I had to mix the whole session so that way it sounded really good. So the guitar tone got a little bit altered in there just by going through the mastering step of stages. But what I did was, on the guitar bus, what I did was I tried to negate the effects that my mastering chain put to it. So my mastering chain, it scoops a little bit of mids out by naturally, and it boosts a little bit of the high end. So what I did was I put more mids in, and I took out that brightness that was there. As I'm editing this, I realize I need to clarify a few things. Everything I just said is 100% true of the Axe Effects recorded tracks, because on those Axe Effects tracks, I can go into the amp block and I can mess with the EQ a little bit. I normally pull out a little bit of mids. That's normally what I do there. But when it came to the amp tracks, those were very raw, and I felt like they needed to have a tiny bit of EQ done to them, just so you can hear what the guitar tone sounds like when it's sitting in a mix. Because I did it 100% raw the first time, basically, with the amp tracks, and it didn't really sound the same. and I wanted to give you a full representation of what it sounded like in the mix. So whenever the amp no drive and no drive tracks come up, I've put the EQ on the screen, as you see, and they're very minimally processed. I just wanted to scoop out a few frequencies so that way it could sound the best it could while it was in the mix. But whenever you hear the guitar pop out of the mix, that's 100% unprocessed. It's just the limiter that's still on, so that way I can keep the volume the same. Okay, hopefully that clarified a few things. Sorry if that was a lot of talking. I just wanted to get all those nitty-gritty little technical features and questions, get those all out of the way, because I know I might get those in the comments. The string gauge that I used was, it's a 59 to a 10, which is kind of thin for a 7-string, and I had it in B-flat tuning. I don't use very thin picks. I use the, it's the Dunlop Flows .73s is what I tend to use, because they bend and they give a little, so it doesn't force the string out of tune all so much. I know a lot of people like to use thicker strings and thicker picks, but that's just the type of setup that I like to run. And when I was in drop A flat, that's the same exact thing. So everything was in either B flat or an A flat tuning whenever you heard anything. Talking about the pickups themselves, one thing I want to definitely stress, which I should have did way earlier when I was talking about this is not a competition to see which pickup is better. They're both really, really good. It just depends on what you like better and what you react to better. Another thing I need to mention is that I didn't have every single voice of both pickups, because the way this guitar is wired, as you can see, I have 2 voices for the bridge, 2 voices for the neck. I don't have a middle position, and in my middle position, it's the inner coil sound. For the Tosins, you have a inner coil sound and you have one outer coil neck sound. I don't have the outer coil neck sound. I'm pretty sure the Merrow has the same exact thing too. So the clean-wise, voice-wise, clean-wise only had one sound, and that was in the middle selection. It's kind of like a Petrucci type of wiring. And I only had 5 different voices, which me personally, I'm fine with that, because I don't even use the middle position on the pickups. I have it on my other Black Cat, which is behind me, my blue headless, which is I've used in countless videos on the channel. Check them out if you want to see it. The voices that I have in here, those are the ones that I use the most. Just will also want to clear that up too. Sorry if this wrap up is being a little boring and a little bit technical. I know people are going to have these questions, so I'm trying to address it. And I really hope that this demo review helped a lot of people, because I know people are going to have questions. You know, should I get the Tosins? Should I get the Merrows? Because 7-string set wise for Fishmans, your choices are kind of slim compared to the six strings, that is. So for 7s, you have the open core, which is essentially the classics. You have the Merrows, and in the Merrow neck pickup, it is a 7-string classic, by the way. I'm sure you'll see that on the B-roll that I put, that it says, well, for the neck pickup, it's a classic. So open core 7-string neck, which is a classic, and the Keith Merrow 7-string neck is the same exact thing. You have Stephen Carpenter, you have Keith Merrow, you have Tosin Abasi, and you have moderns for 7 strings. I believe that's it. If I'm wrong, please correct me down below, because I know Devin Townsend had a special 7-string set made for him, which I wanted those pickups so bad. It was at NAMM 2 years ago. The last NAMM we had, I believe it was there. And it was in his like $15,000 Framus custom shop guitar, which Fishman only made a set for him. That's not available to the public. I'm sure you could maybe beg them, but I doubt they would still even make it. The Adlers, the KSEs, I think the Matt Heafy 7-strings and the Javier's who came out, those are actually 7-strings too. I forget about those. So you do have that option in there too. So that's 5, right? Tosin, Keith, open core / classics. You have moderns, Stephen Carpenter, Javi Reyes from Animals as Leaders, and you have the Matt from Trivium as a 7-string option. Those are the 7-string options that you have, and the Javis and the Matts are actually very recent, because back when I bought this guitar, those 2 pickups didn't exist, and I decided to do the Tosins for this shootout because I already have them in my blue Black Cat that I have back there, my headless, and I've had the same pickups in my Aristides 070, which I ended up playing, so I was very familiar with them. So I know I've done a lot of talking. I hope I've answered some questions. I hope I've helped people compare both these pickups. And the reason why I also took those frequency response screenshots from my DAW, that was just me strumming the open strings and showing you which frequencies it responded to. Everything was exactly the same for that. And you can see on the voice 1 versus voice 2, the voice 2, the low end is a little bit higher on there. Is more in there, so you get a little bit more bass response. I don't know if you could tell that from the demos, but from my end, I could definitely tell that, and I wanted to show you in the frequency responses there. So I think that covers all of the groundwork, all of the nitty-gritty details of everything that went into this demo. I hope you enjoyed it. These videos are very, very tedious to make. They take a kind of a long time because I have to record everything, and then I have to mix everything, then I have to bounce out everything with the mix, then I have to bounce out all the guitars outside of the mix, and then whenever I have to go to edit it, I have to line them up, and then I have to mute them. It's very tedious. I do like doing these videos, but it is very tedious, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you thought this video was cool, leave me a thumbs up. I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you aren't subscribed, you should really think about it. I do stuff like this. I do mixing tutorials. I do giveaways from time to time. I don't want you to miss any of that cool stuff. Make sure you are subscribed. And guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me, checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I did enjoy making it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.